Hi, I'm Christian Brindle, and welcome to the Everything Medicare Podcast.
What's up, Everything Medicare Podcast Nation? This is Christian Brindle, wherever you are and however you might be listening to me today. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today, folks. Every single week, me and my organization, Christian Brindle Insurance Services, bring you 3 podcast episodes where we discuss your Medicare, your Medicaid, your Social Security, and everything that has to do with that golden age called retirement. If you're unfamiliar with my work, folks, I published 3 books on the topic of insurance, 2 about Medicare specifically, including the book that we just recently released called The Insurance Funnel, 9 Simple Tests Every Insurance Policy Must Pass Before Purchase, found on Amazon, under the name Christian Brindle, of course. If there's another insurance funnel, I don't think that there is. Anyway, folks, thanks so much for being here with me today. This is episode 182. And during a crisis, during a pandemic, everybody is always looking for 2 things. Number 1, am I stocked up on supplies? Do I have enough toilet paper? Hand sanitizer. We've all seen plenty of that, haven't we? If we've been to the stores in the last couple of months, they've been ransacked. The second thing is, for a lot of people anyway, they might not have as much income coming in that they may have had before, that they might have had on a regular basis in 2019. Maybe they're limited on what they can do with their work. Maybe they're lost their job altogether. The second thing is, how can I lower bills? How can I be properly supplied? How can I lower bills? Those are the 2 most common questions that most people probably have and try to solve during a pandemic and a crisis such as this, which we've never really seen anything quite like this before to this level, folks, with everything going on with the coronavirus. And essentially, folks, it's a question that we get pretty frequently in our offices. How can we lower bills? I actually, before everything started getting very, very serious in January, I went on a whole spree myself to lower bills. First thing I did was I called up my cell phone company. They were charging me $200 a month just for me and my wife. I thought I was getting taken advantage of. So I told them, hey, listen, Verizon, because that's who we have our phone through, I can't afford this anymore. I can, but I was just being facetious. I can't afford this anymore. So I might need to go somewhere else, just kind of seeing, what could happen. If you dribble and you shoot, right? You hope for the best. I mean, the worst thing that they can say is no. And what did they do? They switched me to a plan that they said was exactly the same as mine, and it was. Lowered my bill by $50 a month. I'll take that, right? Next thing I did was I looked into our insurances. I didn't really cut much there, but I cut some unneeded fat that I didn't need. Not because we're tight on bills, tight on money, but just because every year, around the first of the year, I reevaluate our monthly bills and I see what we can trim down. Because I'm not a fan of spending unnecessary money, and neither should you. Because it all adds up. You can look at it like, oh, it's only $10 a month, but over the course of the year, it's $120 a year. Over 10 years, it's $1,200 if it's a $10 a month bill. I'm always trying to do what I can do to lower expenses because I think it's a smart way to live, regardless of where you're at in life. And Medicare is no different, folks. There are so many people that contact us that, have done business with other organizations, and they want to know, how can we lower our bills? The most common answer you're probably going to get is, change your Medicare supplement to another Medicare supplement. Get the same plan for a lower price. Maybe if you have a Plan G or a Plan N or a Plan F or something like that, get the same plan with another company for a lower price, right? That's the most obvious answer. Or go from a Medicare supplement to a Medicare Advantage plan if you don't need the extra coverage. That really lowers your premium, does it not? Are you paying for extra policies you really aren't using? Are you paying extra premiums for things that you don't really need? That's a big topic in my book, The Insurance Funnel. Cutting fat, not paying for premiums that you don't need, for policies you definitely don't need. So those are the first couple of things that you'll probably hear from most organizations that come at you. But depending on where you live, depending on your situation, there may be some things you can do to cut down your Medicare Part B premium. And let me explain. Your Medicare Part B premium is, in this year, $144.60 a month. For most people, it comes directly out of their Social Security check. If you're in a high tax bracket, they can charge you more. In fact, those numbers actually begin if you're filing jointly at $85,000 a year, and if you're filing as an individual, $85,000 a year, and if you're filing jointly, $170,000 a year, and they base it off of what your income was 2 years ago. So if you're over those income levels, they can actually charge you more for Medicare Part B. And we've done tons of episodes about the numbers and the different categories and things like that, so I'm not going to get into that today. But Medicare Part B can be a big expense. If anything, depending on where you live, it could be just as big of an expense as your supplement plan. So what are some ways that you can lower it? Well, folks, I have to take a quick break. I'll tell you the answer to that in segment 2. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. I'll tell you 3 potential avenues that you could travel and you could go down that could maybe, just maybe, lower your Medicare Part B premium. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks so much for sticking with me through that quick break. This is episode 182 of the Everything Medicare Podcast, and I just can't believe I'm saying that. Who would have thought when we first started this show that we get to 182 episodes, and we have you, the audience, to thank for that. Hopefully this episode knocks it out of the park for you. Let's talk about Medicare Part B premiums and how you can lower them. So for number 1 on the list is this. We talked about in segment 1 how if you're in a high tax bracket, you could be paying more for Medicare Part B. Instead of the $144.60, you might be paying $200 a month if you're over the next tax bracket. And that can add up pretty quickly. Now, that being said, the reason why, what they call that increase in the Medicare Part B premium is they call it an income-related monthly adjustment amount. What Christian calls it is a penalty for making too much money. I don't know what else to call it if it's not a penalty. You're getting charged more because you made too much money. I look at that in my eyes as a punishment. They don't like me saying that, but I don't know what else to say it or call it other than that. Like I mentioned in the last segment, you have to be over $85,000 a year in adjusted gross income if you're an individual, or $170,000 a year if you're filing jointly with your spouse. So if you're over those marks, but you're going to be paying more for it and there's nothing you can do about it. But that being said, let's say you were in a situation where you're making $70,000 a year. There's a lot of people that fall into this criteria. But let's say you decided for 1 year to liquidate an investment you had. Maybe it's selling a property. Maybe it's cashing out a 401k or an IRA. Your income for that year would show quite a bit higher, actually, for that 1 year. And so sometimes I've seen people that, have been on Medicare for 5 or 6 years. They paid the regular premium as everyone else did, and then 1 year their income went through the roof like a roller coaster. It had 1 year where it went really high, and then it went back down to normal the next year. Remember, they base it off of what your income was 2 years ago. So in 2020, they're going to be looking at what your income was in 2018. There is a way that you can file an appeal to this to say that this was an unusual thing. This should be exempt from increasing the Medicare Part B premium. And a lot of times it works. It can be a little time consuming. It takes a couple months to get an answer usually. Sometimes you have to jump through some hoops, fill out some forms, but it's worth it. And you can actually bring that premium down to what it's supposed to be at the $144.60 if they approve you. If you had a year that was high income that was not normal, that's what they're looking for. Now, if you're making $500,000 a year in and year out for the last 10, 15 years, you're out of luck. Don't even try it if you're in that situation. But there's so many people that are right under that threshold. They liquidate an investment for 1 year. It shows their income for that year at $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 because they liquidated an investment. That's how you fight that Medicare Part B premium. You file an appeal. You can do that with Social Security. Pretty simple. right there, okay? Number 2 is if you're on Medicare as well as Medicaid, which we did an episode about this on Wednesday, Medicaid can actually pay for your Medicare Part B premiums for you if you have a proper level of Medicaid. So in order to get Medicaid, you have to be in an incredibly low income bracket, and it's not the same in every state. But if you qualify for Medicaid, or you think you might qualify for Medicaid and you're not getting it already, apply for it. Because if you do qualify for it, chances are they will pick up the whole tab on that Medicare Part B premium for you. That's huge. Third and final thing is in some markets, not everywhere, but in some markets, there are Medicare Advantage plans that exist that have programs included known as Part B givebacks. Well, what's a Part B giveback? A Part B giveback is where that Advantage plan will reimburse X amount of dollars back into your Social Security check that's basically supposed to refund a portion of your Medicare Part B premium. They're very popular in Florida. It could, and if you're living in the right market, there could be a plan that reimburses $100 a month of your Part B back, $110, $120. Some markets it might only be $50 or $60. It just really depends on where you live, and they're not available everywhere. But if there's a plan like that available in your market, you could take advantage of that and have a portion of your Medicare Part B premium reimbursed. Now, you also obviously want to be looking at all the factors of a Medicare Advantage plan. You don't just want to buy a plan just for that. You want to make sure your doctors are covered. You want to make sure your medications are covered. You want to make sure you like everything else with the plan as well. But there's plenty of very good, viable Medicare Advantage plans in some markets that offer a Medicare Part B give back program. And that's very, very helpful. So to refresh, folks, number 1, challenge your income-related adjustment. If you had a year that was unbalanced, you liquidated an asset, you had a year that made your income very high, you're getting dinged in the Part B premium for this year because of it, or another year. Challenge it. File a dispute. That's number 1. Number 2 is if you think you qualify for Medicaid, get on Medicaid. It'll change your whole world on Medicare. Pay your premiums, your out-of-pockets, help with your prescription costs. It will be helpful if you think you qualify, but you have to be in a very low income bracket to do so. Number 3, see if there's a Medicare Advantage plan in your market that helps pay the Part B premium with those Medicare Part B give-back programs. Folks, I have some final thoughts I'd want to say about this and also some updates on kind of what we're doing as a company. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this last and final break in segment 3. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks so much for sticking with me all the way to the end. This episode's pretty straightforward, but hopefully these are 3 things that maybe some of you might be able to implement right now into your situation and cut down that Medicare Part B premium, because that can be huge. You know, if you don't have to pay for that anymore, don't pay as much for it, it can make a world of a difference in your life and your overall income and your budgets. Folks, I just wanted to take some time and talk with you. So we actually completely redid ChristianBrindleInsuranceServices.com. We're now putting out a bunch of informational articles and contents through our blog on there. So feel free to check it out, ChristianBrindleInsuranceServices.com. Tons more information on there about Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage plans, our organization. You can actually listen to this show. Every single week on it. On the website, there's actually a little button that automatically uploads the newest episode that we do every week, 3 times a week, I should say. Every time there's a new episode that's uploaded, it automatically shows up on theirs, and you can listen to it, and it's going to be the newest, most current episode that we've done, so that's super cool. Tons of great information on the site, so please go check it out. Don't hesitate, ChristianBrindleInsuranceServices.com. Very proud of how it looks. I think it looks a lot better than it did before. Not that I didn't like it before, but I think it looks very pretty now. Anyway, folks, if you're on Medicare or you're about to be on Medicare and you just would like to talk with me and kind of see if I can help in your situation, and you live in the states of Utah, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, California, Texas, Virginia, South Carolina, and Florida. Again, that's Utah, Idaho, Colorado, Washington, Oregon, California, Texas, South Carolina, Virginia, and Florida. We'd love the opportunity to be able to talk with you. We represent all of the biggest insurance companies across the nation. And we would love the opportunity to kind of look at your situation and kind of see if we can help. And if you're turning 65, we can kind of educate you on your different choices. We don't charge anything. It's the same price to go through us as it is directly through the insurance company. My office number is 801-255-5340, 801-255-5340. Or if you're more comfortable, you're welcome to shoot me an email at christianb@xmission.com, CHRISTIAN, B as in boy, at xmission.com, folks. And until next time, thank you so much for being here with me. Have a great rest of your weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay secure. We'll be back with you on Monday.